Hi, it's Ashleigh from Sweet Dreams Bake Shop, and today we're making a gravity-defying cookie as well as a little shaker cookie that's going to actually sprinkle some sugar parm on top of your spaghetti. Start by cutting a large circle, which is going to be your plate. There really are no direct measurements for this, however you want your cookie to be. Right now I'm cutting out my little Parmesan shaker, and I don't have a template that I'm using, I'm just freehanding this, but you could by all means go and print something off of the computer and then copy it. Now you want to make sure that you copy your Parmesan shaker at least 3 times, and then you're going to take one of the copies and you're going to kind of make a little hole in it. This is what's going to make your Parmesan shaker 3D. With the leftover bits and pieces, you're going to form at least 3 meatballs. You could definitely do more, but for this size of cookie, I think 3 is going to work just fine. My sugar cookies were in the oven for 13 minutes. As soon as it comes out, I'm placing that stick in the middle of my plate. I'm going to start with icing my fork. Now you could just use a mini little plastic fork, but I wanted this to be completely cookie. As with all of my sugar cookies, I am using a piping icing to outline, which is fairly thick, and then I am going back in with a thinner consistency to fill in the rest of my cookie. Every time I have a wet layer, I stick it into the oven at 175 degrees Fahrenheit until things are a little bit more hard on top. Now be very careful when you do that because the icing is still going to be wet underneath, but the top layer is going to be dry enough so you can add things like this spaghetti that I'm adding on top. The consistency of this icing is very, very thick, so don't be afraid to add a lot of icing sugar to your icing. I made sure to really cover up the stick portion so that I can also put on my fork on top, and then I'm using the meatballs to kind of anchor everything together really nicely. I painted the meatballs with just a little bit of brown edible food coloring. And now this parsley that I am cutting on over top, I made out of wafer paper that I colored green. And time for some spaghetti sauce, which is made just a little bit looser, and then I added some red edible food dye to it. Time to make the shaker portion, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to outline with my piping icing and then I'm going to fill. Now when I am filling it, I'm doing a little bit of white and a little bit of really, really pale yellow, so it kind of looks like the Parmesan jar isn't fully filled. Then using the wet on wet technique, which means I am piping on when the icing is still wet, I am creating some lines so that it looks a little bit more like it's popping out. In hindsight, you could definitely skip this portion where I'm painting on the yellow icing. You barely see it. Here I am creating the little Parmesan crumbles and flakes you can see above my little dots that I'm making. I also have some really thinned out icing, and this is what's going to make your Parmesan look really real when you crack it off of the parchment paper. What I'm using today for this silver portion is a little bit of edible paint that's activated by water. Make sure to only paint your cookies once the top layer is actually dry enough, and these are super dry through and through, so I'm able to actually pierce the holes with my little cookie scribe as well. I'm going back in and dotting a little bit of Parmesan in there so it looks a little bit more 3D. Take that little U shape we made earlier and put some really thick piping icing on it. We want this to dry really fast. And then you're going to stick 1/2 of the Parmesan shaker on top. Then you're going to adhere more icing on the other side. Fill up your little jar with all those little Parmesan icing flakes that we made. Make sure that they're fully dry before you try to remove them from the parchment paper. And then you're going to adhere the other side. And now it's time for the best part! Thanks so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you can be part of the Sweetie fam. Right now I'm uploading daily, so make sure you hit that notification bell so you know when I upload. Bye!